I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha Rakat Kwadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule Great Millstone Well, and Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, Wa Abba Babal. All right, so Isaiah 1 and Isaiah 2 are prophetic. All right, they're visions that were given to Isaiah. All right, and Isaiah prophesied of the last days. All right, the vision was for the last days. It says in verse 2, Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahweh has spoken. I have nourished and brought up sons, the Israelites, and they have rebelled against me, which we have sinned. We all have went astray. That's Isaiah 53. It says, verse 6, All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way. And Yahweh had laid on him the iniquity of us all. Talking about Yahweh Shai, the Messiah. He was crucified and paid for the wage of our sin, which is death, so that we could have life, the Israelite. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, which he didn't beg for his life. He willingly was sacrificed. He gave up his life, and he also was raised up and given life. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, which he was the sacrifice for Israel, and as a sheep before her shears is dumb, which he didn't speak at certain times to certain men of the other nations. So he openeth not his mouth. All right, but he testified that we had the name in John 17. It says, let's see, verse 4, Yahweh Shai says, I have glorified thee on the earth. I have finished the work which thou gavest me to do, which our salvation is in the spiritual realm complete, but in the physical realm incomplete, being that we haven't received our new bodies. So Yahweh Shai was also a prophet, and he's prophesied of us receiving new bodies. But in the spirit, we are already complete. And now, O Father, glorify thou me with thine own self, with the glory which I had with thee before the world was, but now he's immortal again. I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world of Israel, which are the Israelites that believed in him, starting with the apostles. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me, and they have kept thy word, which it's been kept all the way up till now. There's always been holy men that were in the Holy Spirit to preserve the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, and teach it to the Israelites which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. So we have kept thy word. It's 2026 and we're still using the word of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai to glorify Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai and to praise the name of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. All right, in the year of apostasy and Jacob's trouble, showing that we're sure in our faith. Verse 7, Now they have known that all things whatsoever thou hast given me are of thee, for I have given unto them the words which thou gavest me, which are in the scriptures, a promise, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from thee, and they have believed that thou didst send me. So we believe it in Yahweh's Son, Yahweh Shai, that Yahweh sent Yahweh Shai. The first time as the Messiah, now the second time as the Savior of Israel. All right. Now going back to Isaiah 1, verse 1, it says, verse 3, it says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel does not know, my people does not consider. Why? Because we're enslaved under the heathen, and they have caused us to have a lack of knowledge because they deceive. It says, and what did the Lord say? Verse 9, except Yahweh of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant which do believe in Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. All right, we should have been like unto Gomorrah, meaning you wouldn't be able to find an Israelite. All the Israelites would be extinct. But because Yahweh doesn't change, through Yahweh Shai are we preserved. Malachi 3 verse 6, it says, for I am Yahweh, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. All right. So the Israelites are not completely destroyed because Yahweh does not change. And he's going to preserve Israelites to give them the kingdom of heaven. All right. And it tells you in Isaiah 2, it says, verse 1, the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, southern kingdom and northern kingdom. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established, representing the government, starting with Yahweh Shai and King David doing the will of Yahweh, and the rest of the elect, which there's 144,000 elect men ordained to establish the house of Yahweh on earth through the spirit of prophecy in the name of Yahweh Shai. It says, Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains above the other nations' governments, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it, which he's going to put us back in that land, and all the nations are going to have to come and serve us. They're going to have to bring, as it says in Revelation 22, they're going to have to bring goods. 21. It says in Revelation 21, it says, verse 24, and the nations of them which are saved, meaning they're preserved for slavery, shall walk in the light of it, which we're going to teach them the ways of Yahweh with a rod of iron. It says, shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it, into the kingdom of heaven, which will be on earth in Jerusalem. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie. So the heathen, all right, they're only going to be tributaries, but the actual true citizens of New Jerusalem are only Israelites. Edomites will not be allowed to inherit the kingdom. They'll be made extinct. All right, but the heathen, they will be a part of the kingdom as the labor force, the servants, the slaves, the tributaries. It says, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life, which they have the knowledge of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai is preserving them, the elect, to preserve a remnant of Israel. All right? They're written in the book of life. That's why we understand the prophecies. It says in Isaiah 2 verse 3, and many people shall go and say, come ye and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of our power, the power of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion the Israelites shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh, for it says from Jerusalem. Who will we be teaching? The other nations. This is why the world will be at peace, because there will be no other God. All right? Yahweh, through his son Yahweh Shai, has made us kings and priests to the other nations, and they're going to serve Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, by giving tributary to the Israelites. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. He's going to put a lot of people to death, billions. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, which they're not going to war anymore after this great judgment. They're going to be farming in the production of tributary to the Israelites. It says, and their spears into pruning hooks. See, so they're going to go from a spirit of war to a spirit of agriculture. Under the Edomites, the so-called Caucasians, the wicked, they were taught war. Under the Israelites, we're going to be ruling a kingdom of righteousness and peace. So they're not going to need swords and spears no more. All right? That's how you know the ones that are in our land, the tiny top, big nosed bastards, are counterfeits. It says, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Which, under Esau, look what happened to Nero 47. He's talking about needing like a bunker called a ballroom to protect against, mass shooters. You just had a mass shooter run up on Nero 47's party of freedom of speech. And what they say, they need their bunker. So we're at the end of Esau's kingdom because it's being revealed that Edom is the wicked. They were blessed with the sword. That's why there's no peace. But when we get in power, there'll be peace forevermore. O house of Jacob, which the Israelites will rule, but the Edomites, they're going to go extinct. It says, come ye and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. That's what the Lord said in Malachi 4. It says, for behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch, which the Lord's going to completely destroy the kingdom of Edom and then eventually make them extinct. But unto you that fear my name, he's talking to the Israelites that believe in his name, shall the Son of Righteousness, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, arise with healing in his wings, which we have the Comforter until he comes back and gives us new bodies. And ye shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall, which we're going to receive the earth, and it's going to be a earth of pleasure and peace and righteousness. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet in the day that I shall do this, saith Yahweh of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel. He didn't give it to the whole nations, all the nations. There's 18 nations on the earth. He gave it to the nation of Israel, which today are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery. And they're able to understand the prophecy of Yahweh sending Yahweh Shai back with the statutes and judgments, which you got to remember the righteousness of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai. Behold, I will send you Elijah, which is Abba Bivens, the prophet, before the coming of the great and dreadful day of Yahweh. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers, the elders of one west, to the sons, and those are the younger men, which today are the elders, the apostles that rule great millstone well, and the heart of the sons, now the apostles that rule great millstone, which is teaching Israel the truth, to their fathers, which they are now the elders, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. So there's an order of understanding, and it's Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, the hopeful elect, which the apostles are the leaders of Israel, and they're supposed to guide us in the light, which they do, and they do well. That's why I give them double honors. All right. And Yahweh is going to send Yahweh Shai to save the elect of Israel, which is a remnant, starting with the 144,000. And there's going to be women of Israel that are going to be preserved with them. See, it says a remnant prepared. Esau put that in there. They know there's a remnant being prepared to receive the glory of salvation. It says in Isaiah 4 verse 1, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Which these women are going to want salvation and hide their shame. So they're going to want a man of the Lord, and that's how the Lord's going to preserve the kingdom of Israel, is by having the elect absorb these Israelite women. And when we receive the earth, we multiply with them, which we're even going to get the other nations to multiply with. All right. So, because they're going to be our servants, concubines. All right. Even, they show you in the movie Coming to America, right? He was able to sleep with all his maids and all that. When they came in to give him a bath, they didn't just give him a bath. He was able to have all those women, also. So that's how it's going to be for the Israelites. But it starts with a remnant being saved, and we're going to inherit the earth, and we're going to repopulate. It says, in that day shall the branch, the man of Yahweh, be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel, the Israelites that are going to be saved. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even one that is written among the living in Jerusalem. See, so we're New Jerusalem through Yahweh's Son, Yahweh Shai, by the Holy Spirit. We're remembering we are Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a people before a place. And those people are the Israelites, which are enslaved under the other nations today. It says, when the Lord shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment, which we're telling them of the prophecies, that there's a great wrath, a great fury that's going to be poured out upon the earth, and it's going to be concentrated in the land of Babylon the Great, and by the spirit of burning, which at the end, Babylon the Great is going to be destroyed with nuclear missiles via nuclear. Via nuclear missile is going to turn Babylon the Great into a lake of fire. That's the judgment of the great whore, as well as the armies, the teeth of the whore and of the beast. They're going to be dissolved in the valley of slaughter, in the valley of Jehoshaphat, by Yahweh Shai and the host of heaven. And Yahweh will create upon every dwelling place, it says, of Mount Zion, and upon her assemblies a cloud, and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. So why don't the so-called Israelis have chariots over their houses? It just says when we get back into the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have chariots over our houses. All right. It says, once again in verse 5, and Yahweh will create upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion, pertaining to where the Israelites rule from, and upon her assemblies a cloud, a chariot, and smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense, which we see the chariots, they're over our heads. They're sitting over us. They make themselves known. That's why brothers are able to see them. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime for the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storm and from rain. So the Lord is preserving his elect. Even when we don't understand it, we're able to look back and see Yahweh's mercy and grace upon us as we go through certain situations so that we could overcome in them. All right? And he makes everything work out for good for his elect. So we have the victory, and all we're going to do is win. We're going to win the earth through Yahweh's Son, Yahweh Shai, which we already got the win. All we got to do is wait. When Yahweh sends Yahweh Shai, he's going to establish that he won. All right, and he's going to take the authority away from these heathen and give it to his elect, which he now sees as sons through Yahweh Shai. So we give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, for the elect and that they are protected. There's a hedge about them, right? We bless them, and that's why we say Shalom to the elect, Wa Abba Babal.